I'm an illustrator in 12-step recovery. I go by the name 12 Drawings. I have done other series of drawings based on the vocabulary definition of words used in the original Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, written in the late 30s by Bill Wilson. But this set of drawings is simply titled Religious or Not, and that is not from any 12-step literature at all. Rather, it's my question based on how many people have told me that having seen, heard, or read about or visited a 12-step meeting, they have divided opinions. Some think those meetings are far, far, far too religious for me. I walked in the door and I heard prayer and the word God, and I thought, I'm in a church. This is obviously some kind of religious organization. Other people who actually did come from a church or a religious organization come into the 12-step rooms and they hear the word God, but they listen a little further and they say, this is not a religious group. They are not doing anything that I believe religious groups should be doing. Just simply bowing your head and praying does not satisfy the complexities of many forms of worship. So I wanted to just look back and see how Webster's defined religion at the time that 12-step groups were getting started. The definition is as follows, and it's a long one. Religion is the service and adoration of God or a God as expressed in forms of worship in obedience to divine commands, especially as found in accepted sacred writings or as declared by recognized teachers, and in the pursuit of a way of life regarded as incumbent on true believers. Once again, long definition. You can read it at your own pace at 12drawings.com. But in there it said there is obedience to divine commands. And so I decided that sounded pretty important. If you're being obedient to a command as part of a religion, what does that really mean? And so I looked up the word command in the 1934 dictionary, and it says a command is the act of directing authoritatively, like an authority figure. And in a religious context, I know there are people in authority in that religion, but it doesn't say that here. It just says it's an act of directing authoritatively. In other words, telling someone else what to do. And I wound up doing a drawing of certainly a well understood and widely recognized form of authority, which is a policeman telling you to stop. And if you don't answer, they have ways of making you listen to them. And I'll talk about the position of this gun in just a second. But it's not his face that we're reacting to. It's his, what would you call it, his station in life. The office that he holds is what gives him authority to tell us we must stop or we must follow his other commands. So the command is the act of directing authoritatively. If you don't, you're going to be in trouble. So if we look back to the definition of religion, it says obedience to divine commands. Divine commands. So in my experience in 12-step recovery, when I think back and try to figure out where in the 12-step literature or in the 12-step practice does God give demands? I mean, God being the divine, God giving divine commands. I don't see it. I don't see it. I certainly don't see the 10 Commandments anywhere in 12-step literature to draw on a biblical reference, but I don't see commands of any kind that are backed up by authority. And I just want to make a quick point here. If you believe that you went into a 12-step meeting and you didn't, quote, follow the rules, or you didn't do exactly as they say, that there is some kind of authority that's going to punish you, you are not in a 12-step meeting. In a 12-step meeting, suggestions are made, directions are suggested, but no one is giving you commands. And if you don't want to be there, get up and leave. There's not a single 12-step meeting in the world where the people who are all there voluntarily are going to run outside and drag you back in. That is nonsense. That is utter nonsense. So I just want to clarify, if we're talking about obeying divine commands, I don't see anywhere in the 12-step literature that God is giving commands. I see suggestions written by people who clearly say, hey, we are people recovered from alcoholism who are suggesting the following steps. So I don't see it. I don't see command, and therefore I'm going to say in this case, I don't think the 12 steps qualify for that aspect of the definition of religion taken from a 1934 dictionary. There's always more to see at 12drawings.com. Thanks so much for watching or for listening.